we have seen very skilled drivers going into the wall and running into problems. It was a very difficult condition. Australia is a very demanding track, and in those conditions it's quite more difficult.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and welcome to the first Akkodis Debrief of 2025, the Australian Grand Prix. Now, welcome Simone Resta. A new season, we have a new expert at hand. Welcome to the Akkodis Debrief.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you, and I'm really honored to be here and representing Mercedes Formula One team.
Oh, and what an incredible first race we had. The Australian Grand Prix, a podium for George and a P4 for Kimi. I mean, how is the team feeling? What's the morale like, trackside and at the factory?
There's a massive excitement in the team, like you say, both on the factory side and track side, and it was a great result. And we were worried that McLaren could have been fast there, but it's great to be second force there with both drivers, and also with Kimi, that is the first race in Formula One, has been doing pretty well.
Yeah, an amazing start from him. Now, it's the first race of the season, so what are your thoughts in general, and then how did you feel about our performance?
Like I mentioned, McLaren has been strong in the test, so we were worried about their level of competition, and we thought to be in Australia and being fighting with Ferrari and Red Bull for a good spot on the podium. And actually, it happened. We've been able to achieve a podium and to be fourth and to put Ferrari behind in this condition. So it's a massive boost for our motivation, for everyone working very hard to improve our performance. And after a positive test in Bahrain and a great race in Melbourne, we look forward to China race.
Now, on to qualifying. Can you just talk us through a little bit about the decision to put on the medium tires for Q1?
Yeah, it was an interesting one because we did analyze all the free practice session data and trying to understand our competitiveness against our competitors. And we thought to have enough margin to try to qualify Q1 with a set of medium and to save ourselves one more set for the later in the session. And we've seen with George that it was possible. Then with Kimi, we decided to change a little with the program, and actually being quite unlucky because for 9 milliseconds, due to a damage in the floor, we weren't able to qualify. But we thought it was a positive direction to take.
Now, was George being a little bit conservative in that first stint? Because it seemed like he had a lot more pace in hand.
Yeah, it's true. George commented about that, and we have seen very skilled drivers going into the wall and running into problems. It was a very difficult condition. Australia is a very demanding track, and in those conditions it's quite more difficult. And I think George made the right call to try to be there, fight for a good position, but without taking any unnecessary risk.
So it's like balancing, pushing the car to its limit while also keeping the people from behind you from passing, right?
Exactly.
And how did Kimi handle the pressure of being against some pretty experienced drivers on that track?
I mean, he's a very young driver, and he's just 18, but he's approached the race in a very mature way, and already starting a bit on the back foot after the quali session, like we mentioned before. He did pretty well. He was able to start well, not run into problems in the first laps, and then step by step build the confidence and start to overtake cars and overtake one by one, and also was good in all the conditions where it was about managing the safety car or managing the pit stop, etc. And we ended up in a very positive way.
And can you talk to us a little bit about his penalty? What happened with his penalty?
So basically there was a penalty associated onto an unsafe release that is equivalent to a 5-second penalty, let's say, on the final time of the race. But then there were new evidence of data that we were able to get and to present to the FIA, and finally we can get back our fourth place. It was a massive satisfaction for Kimi as well.
Yeah, just again, an amazing start for him. And just on the strategy again, was the team set on switching to the intermediate tires prior to that downpour at the end of the race?
There were a lot of talks during the race about what to do and on which data to decide and when to decide. And we even had one person, let's say, positioned onto the beach trying to feed us information about what was coming and when. So there was a lot of preparation and a lot of talks behind the scenes to be ready by that time. And when it arrived, we were ready to implement the strategy, and it was a good call. It was quite a rewarding call.
Incredible. And on to a little bit more of the technical side of the car. Can you talk to us about the balance of the car? How was it feeling for both drivers?
I guess we've been working during the winter trying to assess the limitations, the weaknesses of the W15 car, the last year car, and trying to implement changes and improvement to have like a more constant platform all across the different conditions and the different tracks and characteristics. And we think we have achieved it, and both the test and in Australia was a better handling. So we look forward to see in a different track like China how it's gonna develop.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. So the car did look excellent this weekend. So you're saying that the performance is what we expected that we would see? And do you think that we will see a similar result in China?
It's very difficult to say now which result we'll have it because, like I mentioned, we've been quick both in Bahrain condition in the test and in Australia in the race. But China is a different track again with different probably meteo condition. So we'll measure ourselves, with those different conditions and hope to confirm our actual performance. And we are quite excited about the past race. So look forward to reconfirm it again.
And now the McLarens were looking really, really quick. How big is the gap to the McLarens? And are we confident that we could potentially close that gap in the foreseeable future or maybe even in the next race?
The gap is big. They are clearly ahead. After the test, we thought to be together with the Red Bull and the Ferrari fighting, for the second position after them. And we'll push very hard to close that gap. And we need to remember that last year, Red Bull was quite well ahead of anyone else with a much bigger gap to the McLaren. And then at the end of the year, McLaren was able to close the gap and even to overtake them. So everything is possible. We just want to go for it.
Oh, amazing. And we're really looking forward to the season. Thank you so much, Simone.
Thank you. My pleasure.